Who killed Dele Giwa?
As the Deputy Director General, I'm in charge of all the state commands. So all reports from the states come to me.
Is it true that the SSS got information that Dele Giwa had promised to employ Alozie Ogbubuaja into Newswatch in case the police fired him? Was the home of Dele Giwa bugged by the intelligence service?
Giwa was already telling them, the people in the office there, how close he was to Babangida, how close he was to General Aliyu.
You didn't believe the information, so why did you invite him? One person cannot come to blackmail us. I am an expert in blackmail. I can blackmail very well. I studied propaganda, so no one person can come and blackmail us after an agreement. Did you make that statement?
He wrote an article in Newswatch on SFEM, and he ended that article by saying, if SFEM fails, Babangida and his officials will be stoned on the streets.
They said the parcel bomb bore the insignia of the head of state. Is it true?
Journalists are continuing shouting, hey, Togun, are you telling me that they are not aware? I and Akilu are acquitted. My daughter was in Federal Girls Government College, Oyo. They were calling her murderer's daughter.
Who killed Dele Giwa? The Nigerian state has not been able to answer that question, and many are still asking. In this book I'm holding, the author titles it The Unanswered Questions. Dele Giwa, The Unanswered Questions. You see the book? The author of this book is Brigadier Kunle Togun, retired. He is the author of this book. Dele Giwa, The Unanswered Questions. Brigadier-General Kunle Togun, retired. It's good to have you on State Affairs.
Thank you very much.
You wrote a book on Dele Giwa?
Yes.
Should I say I know why you wrote the book? Because you are one of those accused of knowing what happened to Dele Giwa. That's true, right?
Well, I didn't write the book to exonerate myself. I put it there in the book that I raised observations in areas of investigation into Dele Giwa's death. There are some I raised about 4 or 5 days after Dele Giwa's death, which we forwarded to the police, areas to investigate, which they didn't do. So I now wrote this book to highlight areas of observations that could lead to finding out those who carried out the crime.
You were the Deputy Director of the State Security Service at the time Dele Giwa died.
Deputy Director General
of the State Security Service.
Exactly.
SSS.
Yes.
At that time, Dele Giwa was one of the most prominent journalists in Nigeria, right?
Yep.
At that time, Dele Giwa was troubling the Babangida administration, right?
No, he was not troubling Babangida's administration.
He wasn't?
He wasn't.
So how come he got repeated invitation to the SSS office?
Now, when I got to the SSS, I invited journalists for a meeting. There, I explained to them. In fact, some of them said they would not have come because there was this decree for during Buhari's administration that they were using to pick journalists and this. So they said they were scared, but they found that a military person signed the letter. That's why they came.
Who signed the letter?
I signed the letter inviting them. So that day, I explained to them that the mass media has a lot of role to play in internal security of the nation. And I identified to them the areas where they are supposed to cooperate with the security agencies. Now, that day, after we finished, some of them were, surprised at the way I spoke. And I threw light into the areas of cooperation between the mass media and the security agencies. It was later on, after that, the Directorate of Military Intelligence organized a symposium, and they invited me from SSS to talk at that symposium, and I was to talk on mass media and national security, which I did. And that day, the other person that spoke on mass media and national security was
MCK Ajuluchukwu.
Exactly. He stood there on that same topic that same day. So that was the day. I mean, some of them, like Segun Oshoba was there. Many of them, key, journalists that time.
Was Dele Giwa there?
He was there.
Ray Ekpo was there.
I think so. So at the end of it, that was when Segun Oshoba said, he was looking at me.
Segun Oshoba that later became the governor of Ogun State.
Exactly. He said, I was just talking. And he started looking to see, probably there was a screen I was reading from, but he couldn't see anything. I said, I wrote that thing. So what, do I have to read it? This thing is just flowing from the brain. So, when I invited the journalists that time, after we finished, there was entertainment and all this and that. Later on, because I gave my number, both office and residence, that if any security agency invites them and harasses them, they should call me. So I gave my number at that time. So some people call later, they say, I called the newsprint people. I didn't call the editors of magazines. But they've heard everything that I discussed with them.
And they also heard the entertainment you gave.
They heard about it.
You mentioned that in your book. What do you mean by entertainment?
No, after we finished them, we just small chop, minerals and all that, just stuff.
Did you give out envelopes of money?
No, we didn't.
Now, when you called the journalists together, was there an agreement reached in that meeting that you called between you and the editors, including Dele Giwa?
The agreement was that government sometimes can confide in the mass media, but they are not supposed to say it out. I remember this boy asked a question. I can't remember his name. I think I put it in the book. That he was realizing this Vasa coup investigation, and he was invited by military intelligence.
He wrote for The Guardian at the time?
I can't remember what he was writing for. But the boy now complained that, okay, why was he being harassed? He was only doing his job. And I told him, I said, no, you are not doing your job. You are doing your job wrongly. during the investigation, the witnesses, we gave them codes, A1, A2, or B3, or something like that. We didn't mention their name, but in his own report, you are saying A1 is so person. B3 is so person. I said, you are endangering their lives. Because the people who are convicted and executed for that coup, and I say, okay, so those are the people that implicated my dad or implicated my uncle, that he got killed. So, exposing, or the names of the witnesses was wrong.
And he agreed with you?
Of course. Agreed. I said, so, he didn't harass you.
So, General Togun, you are saying at that meeting, a censorship agreement was agreed?
No.
Censorship. Before you write, contact us.
No, there was nothing like that.
Huh?
The only thing I said is that they should contact people, anything they want to clear on security, they are free to contact the police, the SSS, Army Intelligence, for clarification before they publish. So that they don't go and start exposing
anything that will embarrass the government.
Exactly. That's the
But if anything that will embarrass the government was the truth, how would you have felt at that time?
I am always after the truth.
And if the truth is embarrassing, they could go ahead to publish.
Of course, we won't deny it, but the only thing is that if they should not reveal details or anything concerning national security.
What are these details? Give us examples.
Well, the issue, okay, let me give an example. America does it. They inform their mass media their policies on certain areas. And all the mass media in America will do is protect and encourage people to work towards that interest. They won't go out and say this is our policy or this American policy against Ghana or against Nigeria.
You are talking about a democratic system.
Yes.
But that was a military government that was dictatorial and totalitarian.
No. I don't see military administration dictatorial. What you see that they try, and in fact, if I have to confess, not that I'm being ethnocentric, military people, you cannot beat them in administration. But I'm surprised that when these people try to apply these principles of administration to decision something, they take it the other way around. They see it as oppression. That's the way I look at it.
You know, I've read a lot about you. You know, as a young university student, we could discuss and say that feared Lieutenant Colonel Kunle Togun. You were feared. That intelligence officer that everybody feared. You are how many times? Before he died on October 1986.
Yeah.
How many times did you interview him?
2 times.
The first
was when the woman, Mrs. Aliyu, who's supposed to discuss with him, say her problem with Dele Giwa. She reported to me, so I followed the woman to her office, and that when I explained to Dele Giwa what the woman was talking about, that he was annoyed about.
Why was Dele Giwa annoyed with the woman?
He said he felt that the woman was too junior to discuss with him.
And at that time, the woman was operating at what level in the SSS?
the level she was the level of deputy commissioner of police.
And Giwa felt she was not big enough.
He said he felt it was their boss that would talk with him.
And you had to intervene.
That was how I intervened. I didn't invite him direct, or I was not the person supposed to go with him.
Why was he invited?
He wrote an article in Newswatch on SFEM. And he ended that article by saying, if SFEM fails, Babangida and his officials will be stoned on the streets. So that was why that woman invited, why he was invited, and the woman was trying to explain to him. But Dele Giwa told me that, who is that woman to tell him to go and, expunge what he has said, what he has written. That's what he said he was annoyed about. So I had to explain to him. Okay, you've written this. If there's a failed coup and they invite you that you are involved, how will you feel? He said, coup? I said, yes. Because they will not consider you've said it too. That Babangida and officials will be stoned on the streets. So therefore you must be involved in that failed coup. I said that what the woman was trying to explain.
But that is not equal to a coup, General Togun.
No, I was explaining to him that what the woman was trying to explaining to him was that if there's a failed coup, they could use that his statement to implicate him.
But that would not be fair.
That what the woman was telling him.
And you corroborated it.
That what I said, that the woman just trying to tell you that your word, that statement is inciting.
Was that a way of intimidating him?
No.
General Togun, it is intimidating.
It is not intimidating. What we are saying is, when I explained to him, he now realized. I said, if there's a few and they accuse you of being involved because of this statement. You see?
But that statement has nothing to say about a coup.
It is inciting. If he says Babangida and his official will be stoned on the streets.
He didn't say stone Babangida.
No.
He said they will be stoned.
He said if SFEM fails.
Yes.
Babangida and his official will be stoned on the streets.
But it's not saying go and stone him.
That is inciting.
But that is not linked to a coup.
It can get people to organize a coup.
Just like that?
It's inciting. So that was what I now explained to him.
And he agreed with you?
Yes, because I mentioned to him that I was not in Nigeria when net building caught fire. And I learned that a journalist, about 3 or 4 days before that fire incident, stated in an article that is our fire service capable or prepared to fight fire in high-rise buildings. And when that happened, they picked up the journalist. Dele Giwa laughed. Riepu was there. He said to Riepu.
Yes, you stated that in your book.
Yeah, I said it. So I said, that's the same thing with this one. That if anything goes wrong now, they can say, Dele Giwa is aware because he made this statement. I said, that's what the woman was just explaining to you.
But General Togun, look at it. I'm a journalist. I can study the past, look at today, and I project into the future. I can come on radio and say that if the level of poverty continue to rise, violence will rise. Is that wrong?
Come. The way you said it now,
yes,
it's not inciting. The way Dele Giwa stated is that if SFEM face Babangida will be stoned on the streets. It's different from if level of poverty continues, the people might do this. It's different. There's a difference.
But do you agree a journalist can be a prophet?
Of course. Our own training, security training, I did psychological operations, which is attitude and attitude change. I was trained in the US. We are trained to analyze and forecast.
Like a journalist. If STEMS fails, Babangida will be stoned on the street.
And
that is
his officials
and his officials, including Togun, will be stoned on the street.
On the street, yes.
That is forecasting. General Togun.
The word will
Will
does not make it a forecast. That is where the will go there. If he says Babangida maybe storm the streets, it's different from will be.
That was the first interrogation.
Exactly.
And Dele Giwa was invited again in October, a few days before the parcel bomb was delivered. Why did you invite him the second time?
I was not the one that invited him.
The SSS invited him?
Yes.
And you were part of
and
the
it
SSS?
is that woman, again, who is supposed to carry out the interview. She now came to me that they have invited Dele Giwa again. No. So I said, okay, what did you invite him about? She explained to me. I said, madam, I will help you one more time. After this, I will not interfere with the quarrel between you and your boyfriend anymore. I jokingly called the Dele Giwa her boyfriend. That's why I did the other one. Just to make sure that there's no...
This woman in question is Mrs. Aliyu, as you stated in your book.
Yes.
You said Dele Giwa ended the article by saying that if STEM failed, Babangida and his officials would be stoned on the streets.
Yes.
This was the main aspect on which Dele Giwa was invited. When he got to the SSS office, he met Mrs. Aliyu. I just wanted to make that clear. Okay. You stated Mrs. Aliyu in your book.
Exactly.
Go ahead, sir.
So it is the same woman who is supposed to interview him. And I've warned all of them, they have to be careful the way they handle journalists. So that's why the woman came to me and said, okay, they have invited him again. No. I said, what did you invite him for? She explained to me. And I said, okay, I will help you one more time to do your job. So that's why I did the interview.
So what was the main subject in that interview?
Well, the main subject in that interview, one, he said he was going to write an article on Ukiwe.
Ubitu Ukiwe.
Ukiwe. He was removed then as the Chief of General Staff to Babangida. They are more or less like number 2 to Babangida when I was president. And that time there was this tension. This anti-Igbo sentiment that they are bringing up that it's because the woman was an Igbo person. So all I told her that he said no. I said nobody says you should not write your article, but don't let your article whip up flame up this tribal sentiment.
The first article was titled "Power Game. Ukiwe loses out." So he was going to do the other side
of the story. So we're not saying you should not write anything, no. But don't allow your article to inflame the tribal sentiment that's already up.
That was intimidating, General Togun. You see, at that point, you might have indicated to him that we are not comfortable with this story that you are writing. Perhaps you didn't want to hit the nail on the head. If you had the chance, you would have told him, don't write about this story again. Because Babangida was not comfortable with the story.
What we are saying that we are security people. And there is this anti-Igbo sentiment that have been put into this issue. And our own duty is to make sure that the thing is not fly up.
Why was
so advising him that way, we not say you can write your article, but don't allow your article to flame up this and tribal sentiment.
You know,
that is not intimidation.
About 2 invitations within a very short period by the SSS, interviewed by the feared Deputy Director General of the SSS. And General Togun, you say it is not intimidating?
It is not intimidating. Advising, because we are to make sure that there's internal stability in this country.
But why Dele Giwa all the time?
SSS was not the only one that invited him.
Because the Directorate of Military Intelligence.
The police invited him.
Why him?
Because there's the one that's one police officer, who's a John Ugbuaja or something like that.
You are talking about Lozie Ugbuaja.
Exactly.
Who was a PRO of police.
That man that time said that the army doesn't know more than pepper soup and beer.
Where did he say that?
He said it. It was published. That's why he was invited by DMI. And when we discussed this issue with him, I said, my friend, you don't know something, no? The army, the military, they have military law. So they are bound by military law and they are bound by the country's law. So they are bound by 2 laws. The same thing with police. So it is better for you, meet these police people, find out what offense has this boy committed.
By that time, Alozie was still in the police before he was suspended.
He was still serving.
But he didn't make that statement as an open statement, did he?
He made it open. It was published. It was published that time.
And it was published by the Newswatch?
By at least in the newspaper in Nigeria published it.
Now, Dele Giwa got linked to Ugbuaja because the SSS got information that in the case of any sacking of Alozie Ugbuaja, Dele Giwa and Rick will promise to employ him as a staff of Newswatch, right?
No.
So what was the issue?
The issue was we advised him. I apparently told him, say, my friend, if you are going to defend anything, because the boy is a journalist, don't just go all out backing. Go to the police, find out from them what offense has this boy committed. Then you can appeal with them. But, okay, if it is like that, oh, please temper justice with mercy. That's what I told Dele Giwa.
But is it true that the SSS got information that Dele Giwa had promised to employ Alozie Ugbuaja into Newswatch in case the police fired him?
I'm not aware of that information. Candidly.
You're not aware of that information?
I wasn't aware of that information.
Was the home of Dele Giwa bugged by the intelligence service?
No.
Did you bug his house?
No. I'm not aware that his house was bugged. No.
You're not aware?
No.
Does intelligence service bug people's houses?
No. That time. No.
Were you listening on Dele Giwa's telephone conversations?
No.
So how did you get some of the information you got? Because in your book, you advised him to be very careful about those he spoke with.
Yes, because I brought up that action because when we asked him, where were you talking about arms and ammunition?
Because you interviewed him about that.
That's one of the things they were supposed to ask him. And that when he laughed and said, all these things you've been asking me, I've discussed with Akilu.
Akilu was the head of DMI.
He was the director of military intelligence. And I said, okay, if Akilu had already discussed this with you, we don't need again to call you.
But how come you didn't know Akilu had discussed with him?
Akilu's office is separate from SSS.
But the intelligence services have corporations, don't they?
The level of intelligence at that time, okay, SSS was established as NSO after 1976. After Jamuta Mameredo was assassinated. And they found there's a need for an internal security setup. And they urgently used E-branch, the special branch of the police, to form NSO that time. So the level of intelligence and the training of these people has not got to the level of
DMI.
Of the one you are talking about, that the intelligence people are supposed to be interacting and be exchanging information. It has not gone to that level.
At that time.
Because I was posted there in 1985.
When Babangida came in.
I was the one that wrote virtually all the lectures in the training school for SSS personnel.
Why were you not made the head of SSS?
I don't know.
Why Gwazo?
The only thing was that Gwazo was a police person. And that day, when General Babangida called me, he said, Kunle Assessor, he said, you say you can never work with police. I can't work with police. So. He said, you work with one.
He gave you orders.
He just said, you will work with one. That's all he told me that time. Before, later on, I was posted to SSS.
And you dominated that organization?
I didn't dominate it. Gwazo was the DG. I was just his deputy.
And the deputy, your name was everywhere. You were the feared one.
As the deputy.
Deputy that was a military officer.
As the Deputy Director General, I'm in charge of all the state commands. So all reports from the states come to me.
So you were in charge?
I wasn't in charge.
General Togun was in charge?
I wasn't. He just schedule of duty.
You were Babangida's boy, right?
All these Babangida's boys, there's nothing like Babangida's boys.
No? General Togun? Babangida had his boys. And General Togun was one of them.
If Babangida had boys, those people they refer to as his boys were those that were involved in change of government. They are brought Babangida in.
You accused Dele Giwa of gun running, right?
That's the information. They said he was talking somewhere about arms and ammunition.
They said.
He was not accused of gun running.
Who they said? Who are they?
That's the information that reached SSS.
How did you get the information?
I cannot say that because I'm not the only source of information to SSS.
But was it true?
They have all over the place. They have people writing reports in.
Did you investigate it?
He was not accused. I said, we asked him, where were you talking about arms and ammunition?
And what did he say?
He said, Akilu has asked him. I was waiting for us to ask that question. Because Akilu has asked that question and he has discussed Akilu. And I said, okay, you should have this thing. But later on he said, he is aware that some people are out to blackmail him.
And what did you tell him?
I told him, then go and assess all your friends and the people you talk with. So that you know the level of what you discuss with them. He said he could not do that. And I said, okay, I can ask for 3 months leave without pay. Then I will help you do this job, but you pay me in dollars. So I just jokingly, made that one come to him. That was just all.
Was it true that he discussed gun issues?
We asked him, where were you talking about arms and ammunition?
But I'm asking now, did he ever talk about arms and ammunition from the information you got?
There are so many sources of information and intelligence to SSS.
Do you verify those sources?
It's not every information that gets to me.
The one that got to you that made you to invite Dele Giwa, did you
That
did you
woman told me this is what we are inviting him for.
As the Deputy Director General, did you interrogate that information?
Since it came to me that they invited him, I didn't know when they invited him.
The point I'm making, was that information authentic, or the SSS just wanted to intimidate him?
No. If it was not authentic, they will not invite him. And I said, come. If the people believe this information, they will invite you.
So did they investigate him?
Come. I said they will monitor you. When they get evidence, they cook.
So there was no evidence.
If come, there is, because he asked that day, what is our source of information?
Yes, and what did you say?
And I asked him, you are a journalist. Do you reveal your source of information? You are not asking security agencies to tell you their own source. As a journalist, you don't reveal your source of information on all the things you publish. So you are not telling security agencies to tell you their source.
What was the look on his face while you were speaking with him?
No,
was there fear on his face?
No. I said it was like a friendly something.
Who was Dele Giwa from the conversations you had with him? How would you describe him?
Well, by the time I got to that woman's office, Dele Giwa was already telling them, the people in the office there, how close he was to Babangida, how close he was to General Aliyu, who was they call him, he was supposed to be national security, but he was not called national security advisor. Call him, that's a name they gave him, coordinator on national security. That was what they called General Aliyu that time. So now, he told us how close he was to him. He talked so much about the people he's associated with. That was the day he told us that when he was newspaper was short of newsprint, Babangida has cancelled import license that time. He said Babangida gave them 1.something million import license to import newsprint for Newswatch. So what I realized about the Gladiators is loose-tongued. Candidly.
What did you say?
Loose-tongued. He was talking too much. And that's why I believe that he has no secret. All the things going to put in the Newswatch, he tests people before he even prints them. And that's why I told you.
So those people will come leak the information to the intelligence service?
No. When he was asking, and I said, okay, are you sure those people you talked about your relationship with high-ups in government, are you sure they are not jealous of you? And they are the ones trying to get you, get those people to start to disbelieve you.
I want to read from your book.
Yeah.
On page 17, you said earlier, Dele Giwa had made us aware of his cordial relationship with General Ibrahim Babangida, the then Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, and the President, who had personally intervened and got his Newswatch communications over 1 million naira import license. You said despite the fact that import license had been abolished then.
Good.
Dele Giwa mentioned how close he was to Brigadier Aliyu Mohammed and many other senior government officials. I mentioned to him that in consonance with our agreement at the October 7th, 1986 DMI seminar, any information available to us should be shared with them, the mass media. We were only keeping our side of the agreement. We also told him that if we believed the information, we would not have told him. So you didn't believe the information. So why did you invite him?
to warn him about he talks too much. And some of the talkings is what, when he was talking about blackmail, I said, come, are you sure some of the people you mention all these things to are not jealous of you? And they're just trying to blackmail to those you say you are close to, so that they stop disbelieving you.
Did you get any information that after that interview with you, that he went to Tony Momo, who was a minister in the IBB government, to complain that he feared for his life?
No, I wasn't aware of that.
You were not aware of that? Because information reaching me is that he became scared of his life. He did not understand the repeated invitation by the intelligence service under Babangida.
No, the only one I was aware about is Ghani Fawehinmi's utterances. That he got I think after he left that place, Ghani Fawehinmi said he should put these things in writing, which he gave to Ghani Fawehinmi.
There was an interview that has been purportedly linked to you. So I want you to take this opportunity to tell me if it is true. They said you were at the airport and you were asked about Dele Giwa's killings, and the suspicion in the public was that he was killed by government. So that you made this statement. They quoted it by saying, you said that one person cannot come to blackmail us. I am an expert in blackmail. I can blackmail very well. I studied propaganda, so no one person can come and blackmail us after an agreement. Did you make that statement?
No.
Have you read that statement anywhere?
No.
You've not seen that statement?
No, the only one was, that was a day I was traveling out. Journalists came to me at the airport. I said, we know you. I said, who am I? I was a colonel there. Kunle Togun. I said, meaning what? They said they wanted to interview me. I said, no. I'm not a governor. I'm not a minister. I am not this and that and that. They said, okay, at least you can tell us where you are traveling to. I said, I'm traveling out of Lagos. And they said, I've not said anything. I said, I've told you something. I'm traveling out of Lagos. Then they left. But I think some of them were lingering around. It was at the waiting room. People were not moving around. One of the SS officers that came to see me off just said he didn't like the way these journalists are called this and that and that and that and that. I said, my friend,
The way they were talking about the death of Giwa?
Complaining against me.
They suspected you.
No, the boss just said that he didn't like the way the journalists were reporting and complaining.
Complaining about what?
Against me.
That what?
What is happening?
What was happening?
Now, the death of Dele Giwa.
They were complaining about who killed Dele Giwa.
And I asked that officer, I said, have you seen where there is collision between a car and an Okada man? He said, yes. I said, what happens? He said, any Okada man that gets there, we just support the Okada man. I said, good. I said, Dele Giwa was a journalist. So all these journalists are just arguing for him without checking. That was the only time. That was when the paper reported it, that I said Dele Giwa is like an Okada man and this and which I didn't say.
No, you said it.
No.
You just gave the scenario now.
My officer was talking with.
So they were eavesdropping.
Exactly.
Or perhaps your officer recorded you and sold it to the newspaper.
It's not possible.
Why are you sure? Because you advised Dele Giwa to be careful of his friend.
Listen, no, the airport issue.
That's what I'm saying. Perhaps that information comes from
your
officer.
I just told the boy, I gave him an analogy.
Yes.
This and this and that. They said, oh, look, I said, that's exactly why
you did not speak with the journalist.
I didn't speak with the journalist.
So how did the journalist get the information?
Because people, this is waiting room at the airport.
Was your voice that loud?
No.
You were whispering.
People are moving around.
You were whispering.
I wasn't whispering. I was talking normally.
You were talking normally.
Yes.
So they must have heard you.
That's the thing. Because it was the second day that they called me. I went to Calabar. That it was in the newspaper that I was comparing Dele Giwa death with a problem of Okada and something.
But that is true. But that is true.
It's not true.
Perhaps they gave it wrong interpretation. You said it.
Yes.
But it was wrongly interpreted. That's the point you are making.
Good. And because I asked the officer, when I said, okay, if there is a collision between a car and an Okada person, when the Okada people get there, what happens? He said they will support the Okada man. I said, they won't find out what happened though. I said, but these journalists are supporting Dele Giwa because he's a journalist. That's all I said.
Brigadier-General Kunle Togun wrote a book about Dele Giwa entitled Dele Giwa, The Unanswered Questions. Here is the book. He has told his own story. Now, on chapter 2 of the book, he says, since the death of Dele Giwa, security agencies have been accused of having a hand in it. Some of the accusations were based on an interview he had with the Directorate of Military Intelligence in September 1986 and 2 interviews at the State Security Service, as well as 1 interview with the Nigerian police on Nigeria's controversial membership of the Organization of Islamic Conference, OIC. So the security service was accused. But before we get to that point, a parcel bomb was sent to Dele Giwa, right?
Yeah.
They said the parcel bomb bore the insignia of the head of state. Is it true? It was well packaged, like a message from the head of state. Is it true?
That was what they said. It's not true. Because I have analyzed that aspect. Because he said the parcel was in a envelope, which you can say is a padded envelope. And he said that it was put there from the CNC.
Commander-in-Chief.
Now, but again, he said there was the insignia of the presidency on the envelope. If there is the insignia of the presidency there is no need again from the CNC.
Okay, so that is one.
That is one. Now, he said, talking about this parcel bomb, I've analyzed some of areas of doubt of the statements. Because most of the time, the press was quoting Kayode Soyinka.
He was the only eyewitness.
Very good.
He was with Dele Giwa.
Exactly.
When the bomb exploded.
Exactly.
What kind of bomb exploded?
He's the only one that knows.
No, but a bomb exploded. Right? And as the Deputy Director General of the SSS, you didn't care to know the kind of bomb that exploded?
Okay, let me tell you something. When that event happened, General Babangida wanted SSS to investigate. But when accusation came up against me and Akilu, that was the police to investigate. Now, I cannot start answering questions about the type of bomb and this and that and that.
Who should answer that question?
The police and DIG Omeben.
Okay, before we get to Omeben, what we all agree on is that a bomb exploded.
Exactly.
And that bomb killed Dele Giwa. Before the bomb incident on October 19th, 1986, it was said that the DMI boss, Akilu, had called Dele Giwa, intimating him of his likely visit. Is that true?
Yes.
That is true.
DIG member mentioned it.
Akilu wanted to visit Dele Giwa.
He asked for his address.
House address.
Yeah.
And he never visited.
He explained. Because DIG member said they invited Akilu.
Okay.
And he came. They asked him all these questions. That he said he was planning to travel. So, and he felt that, okay, if his house is close by, on his way to the airport, he could branch and see him. But he didn't.
He didn't?
He didn't travel again.
So why didn't he call to say, I'm not coming again? Okay, you are not Akilu.
Exactly.
But he wanted to get the house address.
But Omebe cleared Akilu.
But he got the house address, right?
Yes.
And after getting the house address, the next day somebody delivered the letter. Right?
It was 2 days after.
Okay, 2 days after. A letter was delivered. As an intelligence officer, is there a link? Just help us.
There's no link.
Or is it coincidence?
Wait. I mentioned it in my book.
Yes. You are here now.
That all the time I was in secondary school. My favorite magazines were True Detective, Master Detective, which were true crime records of American police. And I mentioned that there was a woman, a widow, that was murdered. 2 weeks before that murder, she had problem. Assault from a black boy, black American. Police documented a lot of things. So in the moment the woman was murdered, they picked that boy up. Because automatically everybody will people
the coincidence.
He threatened the woman. They picked the boy up. After all checks, they couldn't trace anything to the boy. So they released the boy. But there was a 67-year-old man who is a neighbor to that woman. He was harassing the police. How far you going about the investigation? What are you doing? You have found a solution to it. You should be able to identify the murderer. So the concern was getting to this thing to the police. Then they ran a check on this man. He was the one that murdered the woman.
So link that story to the Dele Giwa subject.
Because where people are thinking, that's normally it should not be the source. And you look into other areas.
In your book, you dedicated enough pages looking at Kayode Soyinka.
I will bring all the things all the observations I raised about him in this place. Let him come and explain them.
Kayode Soyinka was at the time the London bureau chief of Newswatch.
Yes.
He was with Soyinka, he was with Dele Giwa.
Yes.
When the parcel bomb arrived.
Yes.
When the parcel bomb arrived, right?
Yes.
It was a parcel bomb. He was there. So why do you feel? Because You gave a breakdown, raising some questions.
I raised more than enough questions.
So why didn't you arrest Kayode Soyinka at the time?
I was not the investigator.
Why didn't police arrest him at the time?
We raised all these things to the police. It is one of the annexures.
Why didn't the police arrest him at the time?
The police should be able to answer that question.
Huh?
Because we raised all these things.
He was in the country. He attended Dele Giwa's burial with his family. The police did not arrest him. And General Togun is coming out now to say that Kayode Soyinka should be interrogated.
I am convinced. And in fact, DIG Omebe put it in his autobiography. There's a chapter on Dele Giwa.
He investigated the case.
He said when they sent for Kayode Soyinka, that they wanted to see him.
So why didn't they arrest him?
He had run away.
Run away?
Wait. The answer that the people gave them was that he does not work here.
He has been coming to this country repeatedly. Why has nobody arrested him?
I don't know if police is aware of his coming in and going out.
The police has not declared him wanted.
Because they've not concluded this thing. And that one of the things I am raising in my book.
Recently
I raised my decision and I said other people who this book can give other ideas so should contribute this thing. Let us add to my own so that we can find a solution.
Ghani Fawehinmi wanted you tried by all means.
Yes.
Ghani Fawehinmi fought to bring you and Haliru to justice on this matter.
Because we didn't commit an offense.
You were acquitted.
The judge said that all he's carrying about is hearsay. Is there in the judgment that there's no substance in what he was calling about that he called evidences. And what was he calling about? The statement Kayode Soyinka made to him, the statement Dele's son gave to him, the statement Fumi
Dele Giwa's wife
gave to him, and hospital records where they said they went on to treat him, Kayode. That's all. And there's nothing there to link I and Akilu. That's why the judge also said he's just kind of...
Why did Ghani focus on you and Akilu?
I put it in this book.
Why not Gwazo? Why you and Akilu?
No. I put it here.
Tell us now.
Okay. The issue, when Buhari was a military head of state, he was arresting journalists, prosecuting them. Then, after the dissing, they invited some politicians. And Buhari established a tribunal headed by a major general. I can't remember the man's name. To try those politicians. That was the time the Assassination said no lawyer should appear in front of that tribunal, that military tribunal. That let Buhari jail all of them. Then the whole world will know that they didn't have fair trial. There was a day Ghani Fawehinmi came up, carried the video camera. That no, he's not going to allow those people to be jailed easily. He's going to defend them. So Buhari felt that Ghani Fawehinmi was loyal to his administration. He started patronizing Ghani Fawehinmi. There are this patronage. I put it in the book. It has to do with New York. And the money to be were in dollars. Before the thing materialized, Babangida took over and stopped that patronage.
So are you saying Ghani became angry?
Yes. Come, I put it in the book. And Segun Adeniyi He was working with this day then. He confronted Ghani Fawehinmi. See what Togun wrote. I hope he has his facts. I will sue him to court. That was Ghani didn't say anything more than that. He couldn't take us to court because evidence there. Is there how Babangida stopped that patronage? So that was why he didn't say anything good in Babangida.
But Babangida committed a lot of atrocities on the Nigerian people through the military.
How?
Students were shot on the street.
Students were not shot on the streets.
General Togun, yes, the court acquitted you. No doubt. The court acquitted Akilu. No doubt. But the story refuses to die. Recently, it was announced that you were dead. And in the story, they said the suspected killer of Dele Giwa. How did you feel about that?
This is the issue. It is the mass media that's got this fixed set in their mind. And they are the one shouting this all over the place. They are not ready to face the facts. These journalists are continuing shouting, hey, Togun, are you telling me that they are not aware that I and Akilu are acquitted?
You were awarded some damages, right?
We sued Ghani.
You were awarded some damages?
Yes.
Did Ghani pay?
He paid.
He paid you?
He paid.
How much did you receive?
I can't remember.
Ghani paid you?
He paid me and Akilu.
Why did you sue
him? But I
him?
think Akilu, for all this noise about we are the killers, we are this, we are that and that. So we have to sue him.
For defamation?
Yes, libel. And I remember some of the things the trauma.
Trauma?
My family was going through.
Can you go through trauma? You?
I'm a human being.
A rugged military officer?
I'm a human being.
General Togun?
I'm coming. What of my wife and children? My daughter was in Federal Girls Government College, Oyo. They were calling her murderer's daughter.
They were calling her that?
The letter she wrote to me and my complaint to the principal that time of Federal Girls Government College, and the reply of that principal that he has warned everybody in that school that they should never call my daughter murderer's daughter. That was the thing we tendered in court. That at least tendered.
You still go through the trauma?
I have overcome it.
So why didn't you appear before Oputa panel to defend yourself again, this time before Nigerians?
Good. Baba Rotimi Williams was my lawyer. And when Oputa panel came up, I've even got some documents and this and that. So I went to Baba. So about this Oputa panel, these are the documents I have to defend myself. Baba said, you want to go there? I said, Baba. Baba said, you are not going there. He said, he told me that panel in the hierarchy of the judiciary, he says, is lower than High Court. He said, that panel in the judicial hierarchy is lower than High Court. If High Court, Court of Appeal, Supreme Court has cleared me, they cannot, that is, try to make another trial. So you won't go there.
And you didn't go?
If my lawyer, Baba said, you are not going there. And Baba now went and filed paper which they submitted to that part. I'm not coming to show up. And he gave his reasons to Oputa panel.
So after the panel, you wrote this book
Yes.
to give your own side of the story.
Because there's so much rubbish going on. I said, will this not stop? And that's why one of the honest shots I put there, 4 days after the reaction, I raised observations, areas the police should look into. It's there. And we send it to the police. Check this area, check this place, check this one, check this one.
So how do you feel that Dele Giwa's death was not properly investigated? How do you feel?
That's one of the reasons why I wrote this book. That people should, after reading my book, if any idea comes to my mind, they should forward it. So that they can look into all my observations plus their own, so that we can get to the root.
Was there any Gloria Okon?
I don't know.
You heard of Gloria Okon?
It was the journalist that started shouting about one Gloria Okon. I don't know anything about Gloria Okon. But what I said was that Dele Giwa went to UK. And the airport and other people were saying that, and I said, how can Dele Giwa go to Britain to investigate something? And Kawade claim he doesn't know anything about it. And the airport doesn't know. He cannot go there. And Kawade is their bureau de chief in London. How can Dele Giwa go be in London, say he's investigating something, and he will say he doesn't know anything about it?
So what did they say he went to London to do?
That's why I said they should ask them. They cannot claim to say they don't know.
No, what do you think he went to London to do?
I don't know.
Was it about Gloria Okon?
I don't know.
They said Gloria Okon was a drug peddler.
That was their own allegation.
But Newswatch never said that.
Eh?
Newswatch never
They
said
mentioned it.
They only discussed it in the newsroom, and they discovered there was no content or substance to the story.
It is in Ghani Fawehinmi's memo to Oputa panel.
That?
It is in Newswatch memo to Oputa panel.
That there was a Gloria Okon.
Yes!
Who was
They were
peddling
trying
drugs
they are trying
for
to
Babangida's wife. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was arrested at some point. And she was declared dead at some point. But Dele Giwa and co got to know that she wasn't dead, that they've smuggled her out of the country, and she was somewhere in the United Kingdom. Was it why Dele Giwa traveled?
I don't know.
But as an intelligence officer, I think you should know.
As an intelligence officer, come. This Dele Giwa's issue is not what I'm going to sit down on forever.
It's not.
I'm coming. As an intelligence officer, it happened. I've been cleared by the court. So should I now start investigating, okay, what is this one going to do there? That's not my business. And it is of no national security value. So I cannot sit down.
You have written a book. Thank you for writing your book. At least the future has your story.
Yeah.
You have told your story here. And children yet unborn might stumble on your book. Yeah. But it seems your book is not that popular. I hardly see it. Is it widely distributed?
The press, the mass media descended on this book, started criticizing, what was won by or not? What were the answered questions? What are the questions that be answered on Gloria Okon? They are the one that did not allow people. The books are still there.
They are the one. What is it? Can't you reconcile with them?
How do I reconcile with the mass media? With biased mind?
But you are talking to a media man.
That has developed into hatred.
You are talking to a media man.
Yeah, let them know that the most of the mass media in Nigeria, this issue has created hatred in their mind for me. So they are the ones that should look for the truth and let that truth clear all these things from their mind.